Now I'd like to introduce Professor Michael Lipsey, the Chair and the Director of the Aaron Copland School of Music. Professor Lipsey.
Hey everybody, sorry about that. Thank you, Jane, and welcome back everybody. I know it's hopefully you had like a really great summer. You got to go outside, socially distant and with masks on, and you're all healthy, knock on wood, let's hope, and you and your loved ones. So I'm just going to speak for a minute or two and just give you a kind of some general thoughts, and then we'll move on, and there'll be a whole bunch of people getting into more specifics about specific areas. And then, like Jane said at the end, I'm happy to stay as long as people need to answer questions. So just to be clear, so we're all kind of cool with this and we all understand, nothing has changed. We are basically online except for special projects, those people that need to get into the building for practicing purposes, instrument exchange, some ensemble and some lessons, but only where it's acceptable between the safety and the student and faculty. So I hope there's no complication or confusion about that. We've basically kept the class times in essence the same. A couple of changes for this semester only because there's a lot of moving parts. Like the large ensemble requirement, for the moment, for this semester, we basically combined wind ensemble and orchestra. And all the people that were in wind ensemble will have some assignments through orchestra. We're currently working on that to get you projects and coaches. You'll hear more about that very soon. If you're in a choral group, that really hasn't changed much. Professor Rubenstein and Professor John are coordinating their larger scale projects for you. That'll be run pretty normally. Let's see, I am going to make a request for everybody here, all 152 people. I'm going to ask Jane to put the link, or if you can, or during the course of the time, or Tom or somebody, Justin, to include the link. About 2 weeks ago, we had Pete Calandra, who runs the music and production minor, and he did a great class on microphone recording technique. He's going to do a second one on sharing files and home recording for the ensembles and recitals and things. But I'm going to ask everybody here, I think we're going to make it a requirement. I'm going to ask the teachers to just kind of like remind their students, if they can, that you should see that video. It's about 90 minutes, a little long, but I found it to be unbelievably helpful. One of the things that I noticed, especially over the summer, the amount of meetings that I've been going to, is my voice hurts after a while talking. I'm trying to talk loudly or quickly. Listening gets a little complicated. And in Pete's class, the coolest thing that I heard was he was discussing how you get fatigued. Your ears just simply get fatigued. And if you can get yourself in a good, place to get some decent sound, you won't feel that strain. You won't feel that kind of exhaustion that comes because you're going to be taking classes in Zoom and it will get tiring, So I'd like everybody to check that out. And I would like everybody, especially anybody who's doing any performing ensembles, you will be required to attend or watch the video of the second half of Pete's discussion. I promise you, it's not painstaking. I think you'll find it fascinating. And if you're very good with this stuff, the younger people are probably a little more or better than me because I'm old. But if you think you know it, obviously you don't have to watch it, but you should. He just gives great ideas about it. And to be honest, I think it's part of the future of music for you all anyway. So it's good to deal with. Another thing that we would like is we have sent out in preparation. I know you haven't heard much from us. I'm trying to not bother people over the summer, except sorry to those faculty that are getting those emails. We have been really doing, and I want to just start off by thanking Jane and Adam and Justin and Tom and Xavier and, oh boy, I'm missing everybody, Hannah and Abir. Have been doing this tremendous amount of work collecting data and information. We sent out surveys to the faculty for their needs, and we sent out surveys to the students. And we got a lot. Thank you, everybody who did respond. But if you did not respond to that survey, we're going to put that up again. We really need you to respond to that. Because what we're, at this point, we've gathered all the data. We're really in a very comfortable spot moving forward. But we're trying to help all those with internet problems, with keyboard problems, with connection problems, with practice space, just the whole myriad of things. And we're trying to do it in a very organized way. And we still have time, but you know, waiting too long until this first week of classes, you're going to have to wait. So if you can get on that now, we are literally working on that very diligently the next 2 weeks. So I think they're putting that up in the chat now. Know that if you already did fill out those forms, we are working on it. You're going to get probably the subsets will start getting separate emails from Justin or Tom or Rick Cron or I or Jane asking more specific questions to try and solve your specific problem that you might have. So just if you could be attentive to your QC email, that would be extraordinarily helpful to all of us. We're trying to do this quickly. Let's see, very little left. Two things. I want to also, we never really got a chance to welcome some people, so I don't even know if they're here, but we'll welcome them anyway. Well, there's 4 new faculty, but 2 are technically new. One is Ianthea Calhoun. So if Ianthea is here, she is music ed. She's a full-time faculty. She will be running the undergraduate jazz band and the wind ensemble, but this semester, she's not going to do it this semester. We thought that was too much to ask of a new faculty. She will help in those areas to get so you'll get to meet her, with her, and work with her. So hello, Anthea. And the other one is an adjunct who's teaching oboe, and that's Krista Robinson. I don't know if Krista's here, but welcome to Krista. And 2 people who kind of came in last year, you know, just Brad Soroki and Andy Blanco, who teach trumpet and percussion accordingly. But most of you probably have met them, but I don't think we ever got a chance to really say hello to them. So welcome, everybody. Let's see, the library, actually, I think Jennifer Oates will talk about, or Tina will talk about the library. We're solving that issue. We're likely to have the conference room, and this goes for faculty as well. We're trying to limit entrance into the music office. We're going to take, I'm going to go in on Monday. I'm going to take all the, literally, take all the stuff and put it into the conference room, so you won't have to go into the actual office, just in case I or Janice or Tom want to go in. We want to try to remain as coronavirus safe as we can in that space too. So just be aware of, hello, Krista Robinson. We want to make that, so that'll be the room, and also that'll also probably aid us in instrument exchange, music library needs, and things like that. We'll have that all in there. For the faculty, just a reminder that Jennifer and Tina are going to need your music book requests, reserve stuff real soon, because we have a lot of, that'll take a lot of time and effort to coordinate. And just 2 more things. The recitals, I know some people deferred their recitals from last year. We're working on that currently. We are going to have a hierarchy of people and recitals. We are going to have a portal where people can watch live recitals, and we hope those to be during regular free hour time, the kind of regular recital times. We're trying to keep the practice as constant from previous times as possible. We're working on that now, so just know the only thing I ask for those students who need to do graduating recitals or recitals from last semester, you know, we can't, some people are going to come into the building to do them. We have to limit the flow of people, obviously, but that's also not just relative to how many people can be in our building at any one time, but how many can be on campus at one time, so it's much more complicated. But we're looking for those people to do recitals. You know, if you can do them a little bit earlier, it really will be helpful. Typically, as we all know, they happen like December, but that won't be completely possible. So as faculty work with their students on recitals, you know, if there are ones we could, you know, have earlier, that would be ridiculously helpful. And the last thing is, I just kind of like think about this as, for those who are in my studio, tend to know that I tend to have like themes to a semester or something like that, you know, although I probably break them 2 weeks in, but I like to start off with the idea of like some themes. So just something for everybody to think of, right? One thing that, you know, really bothers me the most is really not what a hassle coronavirus is to me, to be honest. You know, I'm at the later end of my career, but I feel so much for all the young students who, you know, are really kind of starting flight, and part of that is this sense of community that you get. Your friend has a gig and you go do that gig. You're studying, you know, violin, but you also play electric bass or something in a rock band, or, you know, you have a teaching gig someplace at a music school. It's that kind of connect, or meeting, you know, your friends. Somebody has a gig teaching at a school and they need a band, they need a, you know, summer marching band director, and, you know, that's not happening like the same way. So I'd really like to try and keep that sense of community alive during this time, not to really abandon it. And to that end, you know, we're working on a lot of performance and project oriented work. And these Q classes that have been happening as a way to interact with people, and people still feel like they're part of that community. I hope that you use this semester, given that you won't have to commute, that you know, you can practice more. You know, there's nothing wrong with becoming a better musician at home practicing and coming back in the spring roaring and ready to go. So just know that that's something that over the course of the semester I'm really going to try to keep alive, and an emphasis on that sense of community, that sense of kind of meeting together and talking together, and I really hope people will join in with that. With that, I am through with my part of the presentation. I don't have my syllabus, or what do you call it, agenda, so maybe Jane, you could introduce the next. I'm not sure who goes next. I'm going to stick around the whole time. If you see my screen go off, I'm here. I just have my air conditioning broke this morning, so I think there's going to be an air conditioning repairman coming at some point, and my dogs will bark. So I'm going to keep it muted, but I'm here till the end. I will stay till the very last question, okay? So take it away, Jane.
Thank you, Professor Lipsey. Before we introduce our speakers and advisors, I would also like to take this moment to welcome back our students, and particularly also students who are joining the Aaron Copland School of Music for the first time. If you are joining for the Aaron Copland School of Music for the first time, please raise your hand so we can see you and congratulate you and welcome you. Yay! Thank you so much. This is wonderful, wonderful. Everyone like put a emotion and they welcome them. We're very, very excited to have you here. So thank you. Welcome. All right, so next portion of the presentation is we will introduce our advisors and faculty. Let's start with Professor Eric Rubenstein, who will speak about the music education portion. Professor Rubenstein.
Hi, everyone. It is so great to see everyone. Welcome back, returning students, and welcome for the first time, new incoming students. My name is Eric Rubenstein, and I am one of the advisors in music education, along with Dr. Susan Davis, who is our coordinator of music education. We have some really excellent things that are moving forward this year in particular. To echo what Professor Lipsey said, I'd like to formally welcome Dr. Ianthea Calhoun, which we are so very fortunate to have on our faculty and as a colleague this year. She'll be teaching a variety of methods classes. She will also be teaching conducting and intro to music ed, as well as helping our student teachers. So we are very lucky and very fortunate to have her joining us. The second piece of rather exciting news is we are making several revisions to the music ed curriculum, so much so that we're actually rolling out a brand new degree. So we are very excited about some revisions to the program, some new things that we are adding to the curriculum. And so it's a very exciting time in music education, particularly this year. I would also like to welcome back Dr. Smith, who has been on sabbatical. So we are also very lucky to have Dr. Smith back joining us. We are excited for that as well. that is it for me. A very hearty good luck to everyone in the fall, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, Professor Rubenstein. Professor Schober.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to see you all, and welcome back. My name is David Schober. I teach music theory and composition here, and I'm the Associate Chair of the School of Music. I've been asked to speak briefly about the listening exams and the senior concentration exams. Now, for most of you veterans, this is nothing new. You're familiar with them. However, for those of you that are in Theory 3 and Theory 5 particularly, you'll recall that we relaxed the prerequisite rules on the listening exams for those benchmark theory courses. So just be aware that we're reinstating the prerequisites that have long held. So if you're in Theory 3 and haven't completed the freshman listening exam, get studying as soon as the meeting finishes. And similarly for Theory 5, if you haven't yet completed the sophomore listening exam, please get to it. Now, given obviously the logistical challenges of administering the exams, what we are planning to do is administer them through an online platform like this, but probably one level at a time, just because of the logistical difficulties. So the practical consequence of that is that there will be fewer choices in the course of the term, just because it's very time consuming for the faculty to administer them. So there won't necessarily be 7 opportunities for you to take that sophomore listening exam. So stay tuned for updates from the School of Music as to when the listening exams will be administered. And the other thing I was asked to speak about briefly was the senior concentration. We have some seniors in the room finishing up. Yes, 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 yes. So I was actually a little less involved with the administration of this in the spring, but for those of you who had friends that completed this exam in the spring, it will continue in the tradition of a written exam and an oral exam. Professor Ansoncartwright was involved, and you could ask him about it as well. But it has been done as an essay on 2 compositions generally that you submit to the faculty, and then a follow-up exam orally with a faculty jury of 2. So those details will be forthcoming within the next few weeks, probably within the month of September. And for those of you that are planning to graduate in December or in the spring, next spring, you're welcome to attend the informational meeting when that is scheduled. And there's nothing wrong with attending the meeting, even if the senior concentration exam is a couple of semesters off for you yet. So just watch your email, your QC email for those details, and good luck. Have a wonderful year.
Thank you, Professor Schober. And next is Professor Ansoncartwright. Professor Ansoncartwright.
Hello, everyone. I teach theory at the Aaron Copland School, and I'm also the theory coordinator. So let me just speak to a couple of issues relating to that. One is, well, many of you who tuned in today are starting Theory 1 this fall, and I'm guessing that my colleague, Professor Smaldone, who is not in attendance today, he's teaching one of those sections, as am I, to be taught synchronously. So details about how that's going to work will be forthcoming from any of the theory teachers, but just so you know, it'll be at the discretion of the instructor whether to be fully synchronous or partly synchronous. In any case, all the theory instruction and all the sight singing classes will be taught online, as you'd expect. Another dimension to my job as the theory coordinator is to watch everybody's progress in those 2 kinds of classes, the theory classes and the sight singing classes. And come around the first week of November, veterans know that this is the time of the fall semester when you consult your advisor to see what you'll be taking in the next semester. And so I would urge everyone to just keep in mind, you must consult with your advisor at the latest by the first week of November to find out whether you're going to take the classes that you'd expect to take. Hopefully everyone will be doing well enough that they can move on. In the case that there's any difficulties, someone will alert you, probably your advisor, or your teacher who will be keeping tabs on everyone's progress. So the lines of communication, we want to keep them as clear as possible, as transparent as possible between teacher and student, so that everyone is making the progress we hope that you'll make. We all know that in these circumstances with COVID controlling everybody's decisions to some extent, it's not the way everyone wants to be studying, but we're making every effort to make it as workable as possible. I guess one other thing I should say is that I have some role in the senior concentration exam that Dr. Schober just referred to a few minutes ago. So more than likely it will be given exactly the same way that he described. In other words, it's a fully online process. And my colleague, I believe, Emily Wilborn, will be my co-worker in that effort to coordinate the senior concentration exam. So that's all I wanted to say for now about what I do. Welcome, and welcome back to the older ones.
Thank you, Professor Ansoncartwright. We're going to move on to the performance element of the fall planning. We have Professor James John who will speak about the large vocal ensemble. Professor John.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm James John. I'm Director of Choirs and teach conducting here at the Aaron Copland School of Music. If you're new, just a brief rundown of the choral program. We have 3 choirs, the Queen's College Vocal Ensemble, the Queen's College Treble Choir, and the Queen's College Choral Society. If you are a vocalist, a guitarist, or a pianist, you'll be placed in one of the choirs. Most of you should have your choral placements at this point. If not, we are holding choral placement auditions on the 19th and 21st of this month from 4 to 6 p.m. You should have received an email from Professor Rubenstein to sign up for a time. If not, you should contact me. I'm just going to put this information in the chat right now so you have it. So there it is. Also, just a few words about how the choirs are going to be run. So Professor Rubenstein, who conducts the treble choir, I conduct vocal ensemble and choral society. We are running synchronous rehearsals this fall via Zoom. So one thing that means is make sure we're going to send Zoom links for our first rehearsals. We'll make an effort to get in touch with you before then, but please make sure if you're new that you're checking your QC email. We may not have another address for you at this point, so you may get a Zoom link for the first rehearsal via your QC address. So please make sure you're on top of both your personal and QC email so you can make sure to know how to get into that first rehearsal. Let's see. What else? Yes, well, I just want to say I'm in a place where I'm embracing the new technology, and I think we're going to have a wonderful semester. Both Dr. Rubenstein and I have some exciting projects planned for the choirs, and though we'll be at a distance, I'm really looking forward to building community and making music with everyone. So thanks.
Thank you, Professor John. Professor Mark Powell.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Powell. I'm the Director of Orchestral Studies at the Copland School, and I welcome you, whether it's your first time or your umpteenth time, back to Copland. This semester, we've combined the wind ensemble and all of the orchestras into a single large ensemble, which we will then break up into both large-scale and small-scale chamber music ensembles. You will receive coachings via several online platforms, some of them low latency like Clean Feed, where you'll be able to participate in very nearly real time. We also have some other options that we're working on both for on-site and off-site low latency and sort of immediate collaborative online solutions. Those of you who will be in my advanced conducting class, this semester, the asynchronous sessions will be lecture demonstrations, And then the rest of our time together will essentially be one-on-one private lessons via an online platform. So if you're in my half of the advanced conducting class, I'll be sharing that with Professor John. Expect a model of online applied study as you would your instrument. We'll just be doing some different things. I'll be sharing the direction of Musica Nova, our new music ensemble, with Professor Tim Rudeman as well this semester. And so that also via these platforms will be delivered online. I am delighted to see 174 people on this Zoom call, and I welcome you back to what will be a vital and involved, though different, and in some ways different to your extreme advantage as musicians this semester. Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Professor Powell. Professor Morey Ritt is our piano faculty, and she also runs the big portion of our chamber music activities. Professor Ritt, would you say just a few words?
Yes, I will. Professor Powell was speaking to you about ensembles that will grow out of the big ensemble, orchestra, wind ensemble. I'm speaking about the chamber music course. Many of you have already registered for that course. So my job is to coordinate it, to know who is playing in which ensembles and what the repertoire is, and keep track of those. Sometimes there are changes during the semester. I try to keep track of all of those things. But what I don't set up are the schedules. They are set up by the coaches with the students. So once you have been assigned to work on certain music with a coach, you and the coach decide on the scheduling of the coaching sessions. That's important to know. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor Ritt. Let's move on to our graduate program. Professor Antonio Hart, Director of our Jazz Studies. Professor Antonio Hart, would you say a few words?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to see all of you guys. And I was just thinking how lucky we are as musicians, where we can have something that we can go inside when other people don't have that. And our job as musicians is not just to play music for ourselves and for the world. It's actually we're healers. So when we come into the semester, think about when you're studying, when you're playing your music is about putting positive energy out there to change the life conditions of not only your classmates, your instructors, but the world. So if we go in with that energy, I think we're going to have an amazing semester, and we're going to be able to transform the world. For the jazz students, the only thing I want to say to you right now is that it's very, very important that you fill out the registration form. A lot of you have filled that out. Some of you haven't, and we need to know the number. So please get that into Xavier DeShields as soon as possible. And also students that are having problems with visas, we're going to have an orientation meeting. We're going to set up the date so we can be more detailed, so we won't take up a lot of time. But we're going to have an orientation. So any questions for students that are dealing with visas, trying to get into the building, talking about your equipment, making sure you have microphones and interfaces and like that will be very, very detailed. And we'll have all the jazz faculty there to answer your questions. But I'm happy to see a lot of the returning faces, some of the new faces, people that I've seen that have auditioned. I think it's going to be a creative time. It's going to be different for all of us, but I think we're all going to grow, and I think we're going to be better people and musicians. So welcome to everybody, and hope to see you guys in person really soon.
Thank you, Professor Hart. We agree with you wholeheartedly. Okay, so Professor William Rothstein, would you be able to say a few words about the Master of Arts program, please?
Yes, thank you. Great to see everyone. My name is William Rothstein. I'm the advisor for the MA, Master of Arts program, which it's those students in classical composition, musicology, and music theory. And the main thing that I need to talk about today in my very short time is something that I put in the chat a couple of minutes ago. Namely, if you are an entering student in a master's program in classical music, that is either performance or composition musicology theory, you need to take the placement exams in music history and music theory. That's 1 week from tomorrow, Thursday, August 20th, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock for music history, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in music theory. This will be online by Zoom. I'm compiling a list of those who need to take the exam. You will be hearing from me if you should be taking that exam very, very shortly. If you don't hear from me within a couple of days and you plan to take the exam, please contact me, william.rothstein@qc.cuny.edu. Then Friday the 21st, a week from Friday at 10 a.m., the new graduate students, again, in those programs, classical performance and composition musicology theory, will have an orientation session aimed at some other matters than we're talking about today, as slightly more academic matters. And so please have that on your calendar as well. That will take maybe 45 minutes, not very long at all. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Professor Marcy Rosen and Professor David Jolley to talk about performance elements of the graduate program. Would one of you be able to speak?
I'll go first. I'll follow up a little bit on what Professor Rothstein just said. I'm Marcy Rosen. I'm a cello professor and a graduate advisor for strings, piano, and conducting. David Jolley, my colleague, is the graduate advisor for woodwinds and brass, and James John is the graduate advisor for vocal for singers. So it's important that you, in your various areas, know who your advisor should be. Very often the graduate admissions office tells everyone that I'm your advisor, but that's not true. So make sure you know who you're supposed to talk to. I just also want to say welcome to everybody. It's I think can be a very exciting time that we're going to be exploring together, and I'm looking forward to being more educated in the technology that's available to us today, and I hope that we'll all get to use it in a very fruitful and nurturing manner. Thank you.
Professor Jolley, would you say a few words?
Hi,
there you go.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Marcy. My name is David Jolley. I teach French horn and I am head of brass studies at Queens College. And yes, I am graduate advisor for woodwinds and brass. And we all work very hard on our graduate advising. I've worked to improve mine, and so I hope I never steer anyone wrong, but am of always great help. This is all we can hope for. But please contact me if you need any help with registration or anything. One thing I want to say is that this COVID is not going to last forever. We are going to get to a better day. But in the meantime, I think we can regard it as really quite an opportunity. And one thing I would say to all the brass students is that every brass student will be in a brass rep class this semester with me. Every brass student will be with me in a class of brass ensemble. And so you will have 2 classes a week in which you will all play. You will all play for one another and be heard. So it's a chance for you to have something to practice for and to know that I am going to be there to support you and hear you, and your classmates are going to be there to hear you and support you. So we will all grow together. And in addition to this, we will have what I call directed listening, specially chosen things for you all to listen to, and we will discuss them. And they will range from, greats from the past like W.C. Handy or Robert Johnson, the blues great, to William Vacchiano, who was principal trumpet in the New York Philharmonic, or Vincent DeRosa, who played in Hollywood films for so many years, but great artists, great brass players, and we'll talk about them. And it's really to deepen our sense of history, you know, where we came from and what we all share. And that can help in a time like this. Having a sense of history and having a sense of where we came from, that will help us also go forward. So I see this really as an opportunity, and that's how I'm approaching it. And I'll look forward to seeing you all in these little boxes very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jolley. So next we have a short presentation given by Jennifer Oates and Tina Tam from the Music Library. They have a very important announcement to make. Tina and Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Oates. I'm head of the Music Library. Tina Tam is not here today, but she's also an integral part of the Music Library who's here to help you. I'm also a musicologist and sometime music history professor, but this semester I'm focusing on helping you guys. As you probably know, the Music Library is and will remain closed for the fall semester. But just because we're not there physically to help you, we are doing everything we can to help you virtually. So we're looking at ways to make sure you can get the resources you need, whether it's online or even physical materials, as best as possible. The plan for the fall is for Rosenthal Library to open. We're still not sure if that's going to happen. We're waiting for the higher ups to approve it. If that happens, you'll be able to request music materials through our online catalog and pick them up in the main library. Once that's in place, I will send a message out to everyone and let you know how it works and how it's going to happen. But in addition to that, if Rosenthal opens, there'll also be study spaces and computers available for students to use if you need a study space. So again, I will send updates as that progresses. But regardless of what happens, we have a lot of electronic resources for you. We have our research guide online. I'll send the URL in the chat in a moment. Please make use of that. You can still request materials through interlibrary loan, particularly articles and book chapters. They're doing a great job getting PDFs of materials to people. And if there are materials we have in the Music Library that you need, we can also make scans of them for you as well. And a quick change for students who've been here and faculty who've been here, you no longer need your ID barcode to sign into off-campus resources. It's all your CUNY login now. So here's some information I just put in the chat. So the last bit is stay tuned for updates. We'll send updates to the School of Music faculty and student email list, social media. I've given you all the social media information there in the chat, as well as our Music Library homepage. And faculty, we've asked you for requests of what you need for the fall semester. For those of you who've given it to us, thank you very much. For those of you who haven't, please get it to us by the 19th of August. We want to make sure we can get everything to everybody in a timely manner. And if you need help, please do email me. I don't know if I can fix everything, but I will do everything I can to help you. So please see my email address or even the Music Library email address, because we are here to help you as much as we can. So please do reach out, and welcome back and welcome to all the new faces.
Thank you, Professor Oates. Next, we have a very special guest. We have invited Mr. John Andrejack. He is the head of our student advocacy group, student advocacy team at Queens College. John, would you say a few words, please?
Sure, I am putting something in the chat. All of the student services that you may be interested in is now in the chat. I encourage you to copy and paste and save those contacts. Welcome to new students. Welcome back to returning students, faculty and staff on behalf of the Department of Student Affairs. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of our services. If you have any sort of disability, the Office of Special Services, I provided their email address. You should contact them if you need any accommodation. The Counseling Center is the one exception you should call by phone. We have excellent counselors, and they are seeing people via telephone and Zoom. And should you have a problem getting an appointment, please email me at Student Advocacy, and I will try to help with that. We have a great health services center. They're unfortunately offering limited services right now because we are not on campus, but generally we have a full-time and a part-time nurse. with some evening and weekend hours. If you are interested in clubs or organizations, Student Development and Leadership is the place for you, and their email address is there. No one on Queens College campus should ever go hungry. We have a food pantry that is open now, and the email address is there. And all you have to say is that you're a Queens College student and you're hungry and how many people are in your household, and we will provide food for you. That's a new service that we've had for about a year. There are some spaces left in our residence hall. So if you're interested, please email them. We are all getting used to things being in flux. So things are changing on a regular basis, but please contact them. They will tell you about the price and the services. It is an apartment style residence hall with a full kitchen. So it's great. And some of them have 2 bathrooms. I just want to reinforce that if you forget everything else I say today, take down the student advocacy email. If you do not know where to go, or if you're a faculty or staff member and you do not know where to send your student, contact us at Student Advocacy and we will put you in touch with the correct people if we cannot help you. I cannot iterate that enough. The final thing is, if you're a new student and you haven't been invited to Welcome Day, which is a virtual Welcome Day now on August 25th, email Student Advocacy and we will get you an invite. And the college is doing its first annual Black Student Welcome. It's Ubuntu, I am because we are, based on the Black student experience. And if you have not received your invite to that, please email me at Student Advocacy and I will be happy to get you an invite. But thanks for having me here. Welcome or welcome back.
Thank you so much. We're moving quickly ahead. I would like to introduce our amazing staff at the Copeland School of Music. Again, my name is Jane Cho. Let's start with Miss Janice Raskin, who is an administrative assistant in the office, who brings a wealth of experience, and she's here to help you, help faculty, help students. Janice, if you're here, would you please say hello quick, just quick say hello. Just wave your hand. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome. Let's move on. Our staff will introduce themselves. Let's start with Tom. Would you quickly introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome new students and welcome back returning students. I'm Tom Lee. I am the program coordinator for the music department. I deal with things like registrations and class things. And for those of you graduating, you'll probably be hearing from me, and recitals and most academic related issues. If you have any issues with that, you can always contact me. I'm highly available. I'll just put my email in the chat quickly. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Good to see you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Justin?
Hi, everybody. My name's Justin Tricarico. Welcome to all the new students. I assist with tech support for all school music activities. I actually completed the undergrad music program some time ago, so it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. As we're not all going to be seeing you in person, but I would just briefly like to mention the names of the people who are on the staff that I supervise. We have 3 part-time production assistants, Robin Grasso, Carlos Ponce, and Timothy Garcia. And we have 2 instrument repair technicians. Tony Park takes care of the woodwind instruments. Frank Huber takes care of the brass instruments, and he's also the instrument loan coordinator. I'd like to repeat Professor Lipsey's reminder to fill out the student survey. Some of you may have already received emails from me based on your responses to that survey, specifically for equipment you may need to complete your classes. That's how we're it's sort of our census, so to speak, where we're figuring out where the needs are and how we can help you. We also maintain a COVID-19 resource page that you can reach from the school music website that will be updated soon with new information for the fall. That'll also include forms where you can request equipment, and request practice space. And there's also contact information for a help desk that we run within the School of Music to support School of Music specific technology. So if you need help optimizing the music quality in Zoom or anything like that that's specific to music, we're here to help you with that. So if you have any questions, the help desk will begin regular hours soon, and I'll just go ahead and put my email in the chat. And please feel free to contact me with anything technology related that you may need help with.
Thank you so much, Justin. I also like to acknowledge our administrative college assistants, Abir Sharif, who's been helping quite a bit during this pandemic, many different types of administrative tasks. Xavier Deshields, who is a college assistant for the jazz department, who's been also fantastic, and also Hannah Scone, who is helping music education program. They're all phenomenal staff members of the School of Music and very, very lucky to have them. So now, Adam, would you speak a few words about the piano maintenance?
Sure. Everyone, I'm Adam, the chief piano technician. I'm responsible for taking care of all the pianos at the school for instruction, practice, performance. To contact me, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat. And if you're in the building, my office is in the first 172, and I'll have a mailbox and my email and phone number on that as well. I don't currently have information on room use this semester. I would refer you to the music office or Professor Lipsey. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Adam. So now let's turn to our student leaders, student-led clubs and organizations. I would like to first introduce Daniel Guillaume, who is part of the student faculty committee, who's also co-sponsoring this very event. Daniel?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to both new and returning Copeland students. I'm a member of the student faculty committee. Our goal basically is to make sure that your experience at Copeland is a very pleasant one. So we are the bridge and the voice to the faculty and administration. So any concerns, questions, issues you may have, you can definitely voice them to me or some of the other students in this chat. Just to name a few, Abril is a member, Brandon Papaleo as well. And Dr. Rubenstein is also one of our faculty that work with us to basically get everything rolling. This semester will definitely be a challenge for everybody to get really accustomed to. So we will do our best to find ways to accommodate to all the issues that you may have. So don't be afraid to reach out to any of us. I know that we'll definitely find a way to let you guys know who we are and that you guys can come to us. So I hope you guys have a very great semester.
Thank you, Daniel. Next is Abril Valbuena, who is the club president of the Classical Singers Club.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. It's nice to see everybody. So I'm the president of the Classical Singers Club, as Jane said. Thank you. So this semester, actually not this semester, this school year, we are intending on putting on a production of Puccini's La Rondine, and that would not be happening, no rehearsals would be happening during this semester, so hopefully many of the concerns that we have in terms of social distancing and all of that stuff, hopefully a lot of those things will have calmed down by that point, but next semester we will be trying to have some in-person rehearsals and putting on a show. And me and the director, Alex Sheeran, who directed Così fan tutte this spring, we are going to be very conscious of putting in any and all safety measures so that we can have a safe but beautiful show in May. So hopefully you will join us for that, and it's something to look forward to. So yeah, we will be having video auditions sent in at the end of September, and we'll have an email sent out either later today or later this week. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Abril. I would like to introduce Chris Cavaretta, who is the current leader of the NAfME education group.
Hello, I'm Chris, and I'm the current president of our chapter's NAfME, our school's NAfME chapter. For those of you who don't know, NAfME is part of a collection of chapters throughout both New York State and the entire country regarding music education. Our goal as a chapter is to create and provide opportunities to better ourselves as music educators. And I think that's going to be something we're really going to try and focus on this semester more than any other. We want to really build a community between our old and new members, which obviously may be more difficult being virtual, but it's a really important goal of mine and my board's. You get to meet other professionals and students who are at different levels in your degree. And something we work hard to achieve is a greater relationship between all members studying music education at ACSM. We'll be hosting our first meeting and a lot of other events throughout the entire semester. Most, if not all, will be virtual. If anyone is interested or has any questions for me, you can email us at our NAfME email. I'm going to put it in the chat below, but for those of you who want to write it down, it's Menc, MENC 504 @gmail.com. Nice meeting you all. I look forward to seeing you guys throughout the semester.
Thank you, Chris. Now, next is Brianna Balzano, sorry for mispronunciation of your last name, who is the current president of the iTone Club. Brianna?
Hi, everyone. So I'm the music director of the Queens College iTones. We're a student-run a cappella group. Our music is all arranged by our members. We sing a lot of pop songs, but we've also explored other genres like jazz and R&B. Most of what we do is we host invitationals as well as travel to other colleges and perform with their a cappella groups. Unfortunately, due to the uncertainty of what the semester will bring, we're not going to hold auditions for this semester, but feel free to follow our Instagram at QC iTones. We plan on collaborating virtually, so you can check it out there. And if you're interested, look out for information about our spring auditions. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brianna. So we are approaching the end portion of our formal presentation, but before we open the floor to for questions, are there any faculty or advisor would like to, that I have missed, that would like to make an announcement? I know, Michael, you had asked me to remind you, Michael Lipsey, Professor Lipsey, about the Mark Powell's class.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for everybody who spoke. Thanks. I mean, for everybody else, you should know, it's just, I'm always so happy and proud that so many people kind of jump in and helping solve all the issues, all this craziness. So thank you to all. And yes, we've been having these Q classes, and they're going to continue through the semester. Hopefully some of our faculty will present some. I hope to bring in some special guests. Somebody here in the meeting today, one of the students suggested a gaming, like one of these Q classes on gaming. So I'm reaching out to those. So we're going to have some interesting things. But this Thursday, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Mark Powell is giving a presentation on, I forget the title, Mark. Do you have that in front of you? I think it's about being an artist. I forget the
It's called Are You an Artist?
Are You an Artist, right.
Yes.
And we'll have a conversation. I think it's, we have already, Mark, you'll know, it's already like 40 or 50 people, but I hope to get more. So they've been very well attended. Thank you for all that come. Please share them. Some have been, all have been really, truly remarkable. Yeah, so thanks for that. So now I think maybe Jane, what we'll do is, do people have questions? I'm assuming in this 200 people, there's at least one.
I was expecting the presentation to last 30 minutes, but it's already been hours, so
yeah.
a little bit behind. But
thank you, and thank you to all like Jane. I should all know, just doing a great job. So definite round of applause there. Carlos, everybody.
So Justin, why don't we ask everybody to unmute now? And so Abril and I will watch. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. So we'll try to cover as many as we can.
For those, I'll talk while you maybe feed me the questions, because I'm sure there are a couple things. Just so everybody knows the terminology we've been using, it's rather, I think we're all getting used to it, synchronous and asynchronous. synchronous is being used to describe anything where there's a class happening in real time and the teacher is lecturing, you know, a lesson, for example, you know, any number of classes, right? And asynchronous is when it's recorded and you check it out and do the work and then come back. So we're basically asking, whoops, sorry, my dogs may bark. We basically are asking that some portion of all the classes are synchronous, just so you know. Also, to the faculty, it's probably very complicated because it's faculty and students and staff. For the faculty or the adjuncts particularly, no movement has happened on the budget, unfortunately. You know, for all you students, you can call CUNY Central and raise a ruckus. But we're still waiting. We're kind of moving forward separately because people have to know and stuff, but there's no real word on that. So if you're going to ask a question about budget, it may be better to speak to me privately because things are complicated. But anyway, so 4 raised hands. Somebody want to, how do you want to do this, Jane?
I saw Eric Rasmussen raise, well,
Eric
just
Rasmussen,
because I saw his hand first, I think.
Sure.
Why don't we start with him, and then we'll just, you know, if you are not being called, please, you know, keep your hands up for us so we can catch you. Thank you.
You can do it on the thing too. You know, you can raise your hand in the you know, the format. Anyway, sorry, Eric. How you doing?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all so much for all your work, making sure that our first COVID semester went as smoothly as it could have possibly gone, and to also ensure all of our safety while we continue our studies throughout the semester and the year. So thank you all so much for that. And I was wondering if we had any news yet on how the concerto competition was going to proceed forward.
Actually, no, that's great thought. Thank you. Wow, I forgot about that. Mark Powell. What we'll do is we won't deal with it right this second, but
right. There will be information forthcoming.
Yeah, Mark, yeah, we had talked about that in the middle of the summer, and I completely forgot. Thank you, Eric. That is beautiful.
Thanks, Eric.
And I will say, because you just reminded me, you know, so everybody knows the state is controlling what they call the reopening plan, and our college submitted its reopening plan just last Friday. I mean, they try to do it as late as possible, obviously, to gauge the moving target of coronavirus. And it's going to take a couple of days. So those people, I know there are some students with us who are moving to the dorms, who live close by, who want to get in. Some people who want to get into their lockers. You won't be able to use lockers this semester. You have to come and go with your books, unless we have a very specific, we'll work that out. But if you want to come and go, there are forms to fill out. You can go in for a few minutes and gather stuff. And as soon as we know about the practice space issue for those like 24 people, no, we are definitely on this. We just are waiting for word from the state. Anyway, sorry. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for that. Who's the next person?
There are some questions in the chat.
I see 6 participants hand raised. We want to.
Right.
They don't have to get their hand all tired. Do we want to start with them?
Sure. I'm trying to see which one raised their hands.
Do you mind if I'm talking? Because I'm seeing some questions I can answer in an email.
Sure.
Okay, so Danielle was asking about performing ensembles. We are working on, in the building for a certain group of people, we're working on that. So, but to use a program called Jamulus that we're installing in certain rooms to be used. So hopefully people can play together in the building. And we're gonna have more about that. Dennis Mackrell, Professor Mackrell, has been just my hero in helping this out, along with Professor Hart and Berkman and Justin, and I'm sure others, but we're working on that, and we're going through tests now. We're working on getting the equipment, so there will be more information about that. Did new music ed degree, is there more info about NOM? Belly. Professor Rubenstein did mention that. That's kind of, again, give us a moment. What we're doing is we're getting the freshmen enrolled through that music degree. There's a little you know, you can imagine everything takes a little longer because not many people are on campus, but we have to create the lessons for those, and we're starting with the incoming freshmen and transfer students first. So maybe Eric Rubenstein, as we get more information, maybe like around the first week, we should have a little talk with all the music ed people. Eric, maybe we'll talk about that later so we can answer any questions about that. With Susan.
Yes, there are a lot of moving pieces.
It just happened, everybody, like literally like a week ago. So it's a lot of stuff to figure out, but we're working on it. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, no, to agree with you. There are a lot of moving pieces. We are slowly beginning the process with incoming freshmen and transfers. And if the new degree affects any returning students at all, we will reach out to you to make a plan. But we do ask for your patience. It is very exciting, but it did just happen. So we are working on making whatever transition is necessary.
Yeah, for all the advisors, no, like literally this morning I was dealing with getting those classes set up on CUNY First. It takes a moment or so. The new 148, which is the new lessons, hour-long lessons for incoming. I'm just going to hit some of these. Are there recordings of the past QC classes? Rebecca, yes. Jane will put that in the thing. Let me just stress how important it is, I think, to take Pete Calandra's. All of them were great. There's no doubt. Pete, it's going to be more of a gentle requirement, let's call it. Sarah, will we receive mic equipment? We are working on that. We sent out the student surveys. I don't know if it would be possible to get everybody one, if there's too many. We do have some funds to get others. You know, we're going to have a cutoff on that student survey, and then we're just going to deal with the people who responded. So if you could hang in there for a moment. I know the one thing we might be able to do, I was going to ask Justin, is if we can do a bulk buy, because I was told there are a couple of very inexpensive microphones that you can purchase, and maybe we can get a cheaper rate if we can buy a lot at the same time. So we are working on that. I hope that answers your question for the moment. And Sarah, by the way, wherever you are, just know that Professor Rosen, you and I probably are having a conversation just about nothing overly important. Don't freak out. It's good stuff, just about your scholarship and stuff. So we'll take care of that. How will it be, Nathan Santana asked, how will it be possible to obtain a school student ID? Thomas Lee, do you want to? I have no idea.
Maybe John also, maybe John Andrejack, who is here.
Hey, John.
I am on it. I am putting into the chat now where you can email for information on student IDs. If they do not get back to you, email us at student advocacy, student.advocacy@qc.cuny.edu, and we will put you in touch with the right people. But the link is in the chat.
Great, thank you, John. And maybe I'll ask Tom to check in case we're not hearing anything or there's complications or something like that. Thank you very much, John. A question from Nathaniel Santana. What chamber music group? Yes, that is probably, we are very poised to solve all that, but you might be a new student if I remember. I apologize if you're not. But for everybody, that's quite complicated because what we really want you to do is play music this year, right? And now wind ensemble is absorbed into orchestra. We have like 80 people to put into various ensembles. So that is going to take a moment, but we are very much working on that. Typically, for those people who've done chamber music or some of my chamber music classes, you know, you come in the first week and we talk about it and that stuff. For this semester, it's going to have to work a little differently, but we are definitely on that. Part of the holdup is that some people don't have practice space. Some people, you know, it's just all the various things. So we are on that, I promise, and we will be reaching out. It might take a couple of days before the first day of school, but we are definitely on that. Let's see, Nick Gleason. I apologize if I'm missing other ones way up at the beginning. Nick Gleason, where and how can I resolve interlapping, I think you mean overlapping, schedule issues? Nick, go to your advisor first. I don't know which degree program you're in, but if you could speak to your advisor, that's probably the first step in doing it, because I'm not sure, that's such a a general question. I don't know if it's within music, outside of music. Within music, we'll do our best. I'm asking all the faculty to, you know, especially the performance ones, like the rep classes and the methods classes, to record their Zoom class, so that way, you know, if people have internet problems and they can check it out after and those kind of things. But that's kind of different than overlapping classes. So maybe speak to your advisor, and you know, if there's problems, he'll inform me and we'll be working on it. But I appreciate it. Let's see. Can somebody help me through the questions? Sorry.
There was a question about the large ensemble appear as hybrid on their schedule. Will we have the option to participate completely virtually if we're uncomfortable?
Yes, yes, that was the first thing I said at the beginning. I want to be clear. Nobody's making you come in. We understand that it's not only you coming in, it's you getting to the campus. It's the flow of traffic within the building. It's the flow of traffic within the building within the context of how many people are allowed on campus. Remember, we need B&G, we need security. So it's a project, but we do expect some people will be able to get in. We do hope, fingers crossed, that we can be even creative, like do a piece out in the parking lot. If people are going to the beach, you know, maybe you can be out in the parking lot and do some weird new music piece or something. Who knows? There are going to be some people in rooms doing with Jamulus playing. So we're working on that, but nobody, period, underline, will be required to come in if you're not comfortable. I do not want to be responsible for that, so that's okay. This is for those who, you know, you want to try.
Next question is, I think it's for Jennifer Oates, if she's still here. Will it be possible for the music library to purchase scores and set up a borrowing system for commuter students who do not live near Queens College? Jennifer?
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So we can definitely order scores and books. We're kind of focusing on digital, but if you need something that's in print, we will order it. Mailing things to people is on my radar. I don't know how doable it's going to be, but if it's not doable, we will find another solution. We are able to scan materials if it's not too many pages. If you're, just ask us if we can scan something. If we can, we'll do it. If we can't, we'll figure something out. But we can definitely order materials. I do have some funds, and I'd rather you ask me too many questions that I can't solve than no questions. So please do ask, and we'll do everything we can to get you what you need.
Hey, Jen, would it make sense that you and I have a meeting as you're getting these requests, so we could,
sure,
if there's a priority or a way it has to go, you know, just because we have some funds in the music office too to do that. There's actually a foundation for buying new pieces, so I think there's a little money. But just so you know. Great.
Fantastic.
Next question is pertaining to the orchestra. Will students will be playing campus for orchestra rehearsal and performance?
No, we will. You should keep those times free. By the way, actually, Hannah and Eric Rubenstein. We understand that we moved over people from wind ensemble to orchestra late. We understand that maybe a handful of you, I'm not expecting more than that, had, you know, took another class during orchestra time, but we are expecting that orchestra time is used for ensembles. Because there are so many, we're going to need, it's going to be super difficult to try to dole out times for every little thing. Remember, all of you here will be involved in performing to some degree, right? So it may take the form of a pianist and a singer working together. It may take the form of a chamber group. We're not, you know, we're going to solve this, and we're going to let you know, and then we can have a conversation. However, I know that there are probably a handful of students that have already taken a class during orchestra time. Could you do me a favor, please, and make that known to Hannah and Professor Rubenstein? If you have a conflict already, I need to know that like right now. So not in the chat, but in an email, but we need to solve that. But if you have not, we are going to ask that you take a different section of that same class to keep that orchestra time open. But again, it will not be for in-person unless the people involved all want to be there and are comfortable with that, and we're allowed to from the state and college.
The next one is just a confirmation. From Aaron. They want to confirm, just to be sure, we will not be going back to campus for classes at all.
Yeah, I can't say it, I guess, enough, but I keep on saying the same thing. Yes, that is the way it is. That is, you will not be asked. We listed class as hybrid because the reality is that there are some people who are in the country with visas, and unless we listed them as hybrid, they wouldn't have been able to stay in the United States. I won't go into the politics of that. Open up your newspaper and read some of the crazy that's going on. We are a state, a city and state university. I am a public employee, so we are beholden to all that wacky nonsense that's going on in Washington to a certain degree. Remember that there's 400 different concepts of what's going on because there are 400 people in the building. So yeah, some people do want to get in the building, but we're trying to solve that.
Next question is probably for Professor Schober. How will the listening exams be administered?
David, or is Roy doing it, or are you, David, this year?
Roy, Professor Nisberg is handling it, but I think he is not here.
So as David comes on, just be aware, Professor Nitzberg generally will be the person you contact. I think Professor Schober is here helping for today. Sorry, David, do you want to speak? Is he still here?
He may have stepped out. What you could do is contact me and Tom Lee.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that, Jane. Sorry, I'm going to make it easier. What's going to happen with the senior concentration and the listening exams, just like the juries, you will get an email from the person running that. If you could just hang in there, they will do it in the next couple of weeks, probably by the end of the first week of school. That's quite frankly way earlier than we've usually told you, so that should not be a problem. And we will have this, if it's not worked out, we will have it all worked out and you'll get an email specifically about that. So maybe rather than inundate us with questions, why don't you just hang in there for a couple of weeks and we'll send that out. So I saw that Dylan had that, and there was somebody.
Oh, Professor Schober just came back.
Oh, sorry, hey, David.
Yes, I was listening. Sorry, I missed you there for a moment. What's likely to occur with the listening exams is that they will be administered by levels. So there will be an announced date for, say, the freshman listening exam, and then using the audio routed through Zoom, you will listen through your computer audio, do the exam, sign an honor pledge, and then submit your paper electronically. So it's unlikely because of logistics that freshman, sophomore, junior, etc. can be offered at the same time. But again, those details and those dates, once they're determined, will be sent out to everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Somebody had a question about living, they stay in Summit and they are not able to practice there. Will School of Music be able to provide us a practice room space?
Yes, so Victoria, I see your question, if that's you. Actually, as I understand, I have to check on this, but I really want you to feel free to remind Jane and I and Tom as much as you want. I am told that the Summit might have practice room. Now, it's shared, so you don't want to do that. You might want to practice in your room. However, part of the reopening plan that we put in, basically, I'll let everybody know so you know the terminology we're using. We basically have single-use rooms, so for one person, which are practice rooms, in our building, that is, 2 to 3 people, which means like if you're coming in basically with your teacher and and there's an accompanist that wants to come in, and then 5 to 6 people, right? So, so that's the 3 room designations. So we are hoping that can get everybody their own individual practice room that is living at the Summit or living very close by. That is the goal. We're waiting for reopening plans. We have to wait for the state, but that's what we are planning to do. The one thing that everybody in this call needs to be hyper aware of, one case of COVID and everything gets locked down again. And that could be for the campus. So for those people, the administration, meaning not myself, but the people above me, the deans and provosts, were really super nice in meeting with me specifically and walking through the building with Buildings and Grounds and talk about the cleaning process, which we're going to get more word on as the reopening is confirmed, affirmed, whatever. But the most important thing is, if you have not, Victoria and others, make sure, please fill out that form, because we can only solve the problem if we know it exists. So we're working on it. Give us a moment and keep in touch, because I tell you right now that is probably my #1 concern in the building period. That is to get people practice space for me personally.
I think John Andrejack can speak a little bit more about the summit.
Please, John, please.
Yeah, I contacted the summit yesterday because I knew this would be a question, and they are currently working out all the quirks with the state requirements, and they should be able to get something going with the practice room soon. Once again, it seems like we're all being comfortable with ambiguity, but I did put the contact for Residence Life in the chat. Feel free to contact them, or once again, reach me at Student Advocacy, and I'll see what I can do.
Hey, John, just so you know, I would imagine if I was a student, like personally, I will be coming in probably once a week, but if I was a student, they'd probably be more comfortable being assigned their own personal practice room in the music building, because I would imagine that as a summit, I know there's only like 1 or 2 practice rooms, and if there are 5 people, that's obviously could be a nightmare. So just so you're aware, as it's moving forward, you know, we can communicate more to try and solve this. You know?
All right, I'll talk to Sean and Craig and let them know.
Thanks. Yeah, Megan and Zico are aware as well, if that helps at all. So
Okay.
Megan Wilkmore, so thanks.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions. Time is running out. Someone had a question about how the ensemble auditions will take place.
More to come, to be announced. Mark, I'll speak with Professor Powell and those people that need to know, and we'll have a plan that's coming up. You know, in the meanwhile, you should just prepare something on your instrument. I think we'll be lenient as to what we hear at this point, so don't worry about that. I'm just seeing, give me here, our ensemble just working, oh, that's Teddy, thank you, Teddy. And Ken, it says, methods class, I currently have a methods class rental instrument. When I return it, could I rent a different one? We are working, just so you know, that is, I'm sorry that there's a lot of these answers that are like to be determined, but we're working on that. Part of that is part of the reopening plan, because we want to make sure that we can get in. We have bought UV equipment and cleaning equipment, so when there are instrument exchanges, however, we need to do them coordinated, because you know, if there are 40 people exchanging instruments, doing it all willy-nilly, that's dangerous and complicated. So I have Justin working with the methods teachers, and by the first day of class, they will, or before then, they will email like, okay, here are the instruments we have, here are the way we want you to exchange it, here's the mechanism or procedure we set up for that. So we're on that without a doubt. That was another big concern of mine.
We have a question about, Professor Powell asked a question about, is the credit, no credit policy still available?
That is a great question. I do not know. That is a decision above my pay grade.
John?
John, do you know?
I think that the best thing you can do, I'll type it in the chat, is to contact keeplearning@qc.cuny.edu, and they've been answering those questions fairly quickly. An announcement just went out about the credit, no credit policy yesterday, and quite frankly, I don't remember. So I will put the contact information for Keep Learning into the chat now.
Okay.
Thank you. Quickly, there was a question about the locker situation for the fall.
So lockers, it's going to be very rare if you have a locker, because remember, you know, like my students, I'm the percussion teacher for those that don't know, like some of my students need to get on campus. Their only way to practice, you know, marimba and timpani and all that stuff, snare drum. So we have to have some kind of hierarchy as to who gets in the building, how. And lockers, you know, if there's a really compelling reason, I'm totally open to listen to it. But if you're just, you know, keeping a locker because you don't want to carry a couple of books, then maybe you have to carry a couple of books. I apologize. If you want to get into the locker to retrieve materials, that is very possible. There's a few criteria. You must have your own PPE. For the record, I assume that's another term that we're all very comfortable with these days, but what is it? Personal protective equipment. You have to have masks and gloves. You have to be not have come from a state that has an uptick, so you have to wait 14 days after coming into the state. You have to, you know, not show any signs or have contact with people who have coronavirus. You put your name in. You know, once you've successfully cleared that bar, you send Tom, Lee, and I your name, and we will add you to a form, and then it takes 2 or 3 days. So if you want to come in tomorrow, that won't happen. If you want to come in on Monday, it's good to get us an email today, and we have to coordinate. So usually they've been letting students in between, I think it was Tuesday to Thursday, between like 8 and 10 a.m. to retrieve things, because they have other people working in the building and they have to restrict flow. So plan to come in early to pick up your stuff. But email if you have locker issues, maybe send it to the ACSM thing with your name and telephone number and what the issue is. We promise we'll try and solve it.
Okay, so this is a very small one, and maybe we can, you know, wrap this up after one. So I have a question about what's happening with the read room. I think it's probably for Professor Morelli and Michael. It's a question from an oboe player.
Yeah, hey, it must be Haley. I see Adrian, but I assume it's Haley. Yeah, we are working on that. I'm not sure on Monday, actually, if Frank's here, Frank Morelli, we are having a meeting about chamber music. It's just not for everybody, it's just a couple of people. But Frank, maybe you and I could have a discussion about, you know, I don't even, you know, I need a little more information. It might be, you know, there might be so few people going in there to do that we would just designate, like, if you're on campus, Haley, you know, you have your own practice room and it's your, you know, and you'll have internet access and you could work from there. We do have people who are coming in to do instrument repair and stuff like that. They're coming in on a limited basis, but a kind of rotating basis, and that's usually coordinated through Justin. So we, you know, when we come back in, we have that worked out. I just don't quite know how the needs and how that works out during coronavirus. But I promise, if you come ask me again after Monday, after I speak to Professor Morelli, we'll at least discuss this and I'll get a better handle on it.
Michael.
Cool. Yeah,
Michael.
hey, yeah.
Frank.
Hey.
Morelli. I believe none of the bassoon players are living near school. And so the question of whether or not the reed equipment for bassoon will even be a question, because it would be much too difficult to transfer it around. As far as the oboe goes, I think that Adrienne and her teacher can, and us, of course, I mean, you know, under the supervision of the school, might be able to work something out if there's only one person and equipment, as opposed to a read room that's used by more than one individual. I'm sure we could figure something like that out.
Yeah, that will, as we get back in, we have dedicated a room for it. Unfortunately, you know, under coronavirus, it's a little more complicated than that. But, and that's Haley, Frank, just so you know.
Haley, sorry.
Yeah, I see Adrian too. But Haley, so just, you know, send me an email in a week and I'll, you know, you should be in touch with Krista, who's your teacher. And I'm certainly open to solving that. I just don't know what you guys need to solve that problem. So, and I guess that goes for Anthony as well, if Anthony's somewhere in this, who's also an oboe player. So cool. Well, thank you.
Okay. Have we covered most of the question, Abril? Have we covered most of it?
Last chance. Actually, I saw Christine. Christine had a question at some point. Weglertz, is Christine? Are you still there? I don't know if she had to split, but yes, I saw she raised.
I'm still here.
Hey, you want to ask a question? I saw you still have a question.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question about the senior or the recitals that you brought up earlier. And you said, I guess some of them would be streamed and some of them, I guess, wouldn't be. For the people who are doing maybe more contemporary pieces where they probably need to have their, you know, accompaniments like with them. Would those be streamed in LaFrac?
The way we're planning to do it as of now, we're waiting for the reopening plan. So this is just our plan as of now, not officially.
Yeah.
That we'll have them in the frac. We would set up a live stream. You know, there's no audience, but right. Let me come to that in a second. You would be there. We did order. You know, we have to get. You know, of course, singing is different than violin playing, right? Like the pianist can wear a mask, but so. I'll have to get guidance on vocalists, woodwind players, and brass players, right? But assuming that works out, let's put that away for a second. We would set up, we'd record it. So Rick, let's say, would come in and record the event, and we'd live stream it, and then we'd post that live stream. Two things: we're going to try and keep to the regular concert schedule as best we can, just because we want you to have an audience. You know, better to do it at free hour, right? To have an audience. And if you decide to go off and do your own thing and, you know, make sure your teacher, that's cool too. But, you know, and then we are setting up a portal on the ACSM site. So, and we'll make announcements like here's today's concert is, you know, Christine doing these pieces, and they can come watch it at free hour. So that's the hope. We'll know more when we know more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. For one thing that I'd like to mention on, let's see, Dan, I'll answer your question in 1 second. Well, let me answer Dan's first. So the percussionists that plan on doing ensemble works, is that a no? Follow-up cue for percussionists that planned on doing, not sure I understand, Dan. We are doing ensemble. I'm running the ensemble, so I'm not sure exactly.
Sorry, there was a follow-up question for the recitals.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, recitals too. So yeah, Dan, you need to, and whoever's doing the recital, you know, we're going to give priority to those people who are degree recitals and then work our way down. I am sorry to say that if it's, you know, when we're open, it's cool to use the building and do your recital. You know, we've done like pop music things or different things. That's cool. The reality is we may have to limit that. I mean, if you want to do it on your own, we're happy to support that. But getting in the building, since we really have to limit the flow, it's really important to deal with. There are some people who, you know, for example, they're leaving the country in December and they have to do their recital. So we have to kind of have a hierarchy. But we'll work on that. If you're planning on doing recital, it's a requirement. Don't worry, we'll take care of that. Are there any functional difference in orchestra and chamber this season? Teddy, that is an interesting question. We are working on that now. I mean, I don't think so for this semester. I mean, obviously, we're not going to come in and do a reading of Brahms 1 all in the same room. That being said, there are some chamber music experiences that are live. I played 3 concerts over the summer, you know, on Zoom. And, you know, I can't say it was my favorite experience, but I can promise you it wasn't my worst experience. So, yeah, so, and they were interesting pieces. So I don't know, we're working on that, Teddy. I promise we'll get back to that. When we come back in, you will have orchestra, do not worry. You know, I am telling people that when we come back in the spring, you know, the hope is to kind of give a good, nice push to some live music events. So we're excited about that possibility. The recital attendance requirement, we forgot about that. We are letting that go for this semester, so do not worry. That is Music 100. That is just not happening this semester. We'll deal with the spring. In the spring, you will not be held, you know, obviously if you need a certain amount and you are one short because of this semester, that will not hold up any kind of graduation problems. Do not worry. Let's see, I think that is everything, people. Thank you so much. Going once, twice, 3 times, we're done. Okay, so, is there, thank you. Thanks, everybody. You know, again, I want to stress how that community experience, I can promise you that the community experience is alive and well at Queens, and it starts with everybody on staff who gets a rousing round of applause, not just for this, but this very crazy summer that's been going on. And I can't tell you how I personally appreciate that. And I appreciate all the faculty that have kind of jumped in a little early and did work. And the last thing I will say is that on Monday, if you're an adjunct professor here and you run an ensemble, Baroque, saxophone, contemporary ensemble, you know, anyone, not the full-timers, the adjuncts, on Monday at, I think it's 4 o'clock, Dennis Mackrell and I are going to walk through the same discussion and give you a lot of data we have gathered for your ensembles so you can move forward efficiently. So I really would love it if all of you can be there. If you haven't received an email yet, you will be getting one from Abir. It's probably some kind of confirmation email, so please make sure you respond to that, because it would be great if we can do it once and get it off. So that would be like Dum Young, Tim Ruderman, Bill Anderson, you know, I'm missing a lot of people, but you know who you are, Don Perrone, anybody who's done chamber music that's not full-time. Anyway. Is this recording going to be available after?
Yes.
Yes.
You
really
I think.
Again? Oh my goodness.
Yes, absolutely. I think Professor Ritt has a quick comment or question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yes. Add my thanks, particularly I think, to Jane and Tom for that great survey. It was so helpful. I was studying it last night. And way I went to CUNY first and realized that some people who I know will be in chamber music, because we've talked about it, have not yet registered. So I think, Michael, you wanted to say something about students getting to that registration in time.
Yeah, I think it's called the survey, just to be clear, not registration for classes, but survey. Please fill out. If you have a friend that you know hasn't done it, if you can email your friend at school, I can't tell you how helpful that will be if you can fill that out. It's really useful to us and will help ease craziness at the beginning of the semester. I would also implore everybody here, please register to vote. Please, and fill out the census. Oh my goodness. Please fill out the census. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just write US Census. And maybe Dan, Guillaume, maybe like those two things you should make a note of, and we should press people to do that, because they're ending the census early at the end of September, I understand, which is really just a scam. But anyway, but you really should do that. So please do that. That's for you. That's not for me. Yeah, and that's it. And, you know, be aware that there's stuff going on. You'll see emails, try to respond. And I don't know. I think that's it, everybody. Cool.
I know Tom quickly had a thing about the taxing the
Yeah,
billionaire.
like
Tom, do you want to just speak for 20 seconds?
Oh, sure. There is a bill in the New York State Senate and Assembly right now being proposed to increase the taxes on billionaires within New York State to help relieve the economy of New York State. I will try to post it again before we end this, but if you can all contact your state assembly person, your state senator, and just tell them to pass the billionaire tax. They'll know what you're talking about. Just that'll really help CUNY, not just Queens College, all of CUNY, and a lot of people in New York. So.
Can I jump in and piggyback on that? For everybody who wrote, I wrote an email a couple weeks ago about like contacting, and really all the chairs did. We have a chairs advocacy group to try and help the adjuncts and the students during this time. And I'll tell you, the hundreds of people that ended up calling my local out here on Long Island, my local state senator, there were so many calls from my local friends and QC alums that live in my neighborhood alone, Seacliff, that he actually called me. The state senator called me up because he was curious what we were all emailing about. And so there might be another round of calls necessary. What the governor did was kind of wait on the budget. And my guess is that in like a week, there's going to be all of a sudden a budget drop with a lot of complicating information. And I may send another email for you to call your local person, or quite frankly, CUNY Central, the board of directors, the board of directors at CUNY Central would get a good kind of eye-opening experience if they knew how many people were at this meeting and who cared. So just look for that. Eric has his hand raised, and that's probably the last question. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to reiterate something that we say every year at these meetings, which is we do have email lists for both the undergrads and the grad students. They're separate lists. It's very important that you either contact me or Tom Lee to make sure you're on that list. If you're receiving the emails, you're on the list, so don't contact us with that. But you have to check it. Very often the administration, and when I say very often, I mean always, they send the information through those lists. That's how they get in contact with you. So please make sure to, especially nowadays, check your email. If you have an email address that you prefer, that's fine. We do prefer that we use your Queens College email. It just makes
We
things
strongly prefer that you use your Queens College.
Yeah.
Strongly.
But you need to check your email and make sure that you're on that list.
Why do you have an F sharp behind you? Is that the note of the day?
I can't tell you that in a public forum.
Oh, okay.
Too private.
Those who don't know, they come as a team. The comedy stylings of Eric and Constanza Chernoff are two faculty. Okay, everybody.
Amazingly, you didn't ask why I have a cow, but whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe an ode to Bart Simpson or something like that. I don't know. Okay, everybody. He just opened up a can of worms. I know they're going to have a fight now. Sorry, I didn't mean to get anybody in trouble, Constanza. You can yell at me later. All right, everybody. Let's see. Thank you very much. Feel free to use my QC email address and email me anytime. I think my air-conditioned repairman, thank God, is here as it reaches 90 in my house. And if there are any other questions, email me or get in touch. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Looking
everybody.
forward to seeing and speaking to you all.
Thank you for coming.